We are living in very interesting times now because the world is going through great changes, the kind of changes which we have not seen in our lifetimes. So I thought I'll set some context to what is going on so we will be able to understand what is coming in. Okay, so this period you can say is a period of great reset. So let us see what it means. So we'll see what is ahead in this presentation is we understand the cycle of civilizations, how the rise and fall of societies happen, wealth concentration, and a little bit of understanding on how inflation works, and set the context for the incoming recession and how the world looks today, rather divided. And I mean, there is a good chance that the war which is going on now may extend and expand. So if that happens, we will see what really matters. And then what we can do about it, navigating the waters. Okay. Okay, so with that, let us understand how prosperous societies and even very large scale civilizations come up and fold up. So it is called the Tytler cycle. Okay, so there is a saying which says, hard times create strong men, because without hard times, there is no chance of having strong men. And then these strong men go ahead and create good times. And these good times create weak men, because when people revel in the good times for too long, they become weak. And then these weak men actually create hard times. So this is a very macro level view of the great cycle. So when you look at in a little bit more detail, let us say there is a society which is having abundance of everything. The society is in a great shape, lot of resources and very little competition and good technologies and stuff like that. And so as abundance continues over time, people become, what do you say, more self-centered. So they say, I want this, I want that, and it is all about me. And the claims to property, money, all those concepts develop. And then over time, when that keeps on going for some time, so there is a lot of complacency about everything, because they think and experience a lot of luxury and think that things are all good. And so that creates the weakness. And then that develops into apathy. I don't care. I mean, whatever happens, it's all okay. It's all fine. And then they also say that it's not my fault about everything. And all the responsibilities are usually handed over to the government or somebody in charge. Some people who are put into the responsible positions, and everything is given to them, and rest of the people are completely hand washed about what is happening in the society. So this immediately leads to the government doing everything, right? So the governments take complete control. Here, the government may be a democratically elected government, or it may be a king or whatever. So essentially, the freedom of the population gets curbed, and there is independence of the people get lost, and things like licensing regimes come into play. Even communisms kick in, right? So it keeps on going to such a great extent that there is a point of no return, meaning the government achieves complete control over the entire population. And that leads to bondage, right? So where people have really lost it, there is not enough strong men or strong resistance, and the government has full control over it. But this bondage will not last for long, because people are born sovereigns, right? So people start opposing the conditions once they realize what is going on. But they cannot do anything much because the governments have absolute control and they have all the forces to enforce whatever they want. So slowly, the resistance builds up, and there is a faith that pops up, and many communities start forming deeply moral gatherings, right? And then slowly they get courage, and then they start coordinating among themselves, and then what do you say? That the resistance builds up towards the freedom. And then this over time builds up, and there is a revolution kind of breakout. And then naturally it wins because there is no other way, because you can't rule sovereign beings over a very long period of time. And that results in liberty. And the prosperity again returns back to abundance. So this cycle is called the Tytler cycle. So it's a well-known phenomenon, and even from so-called the Roman times, this cycle has been going on across the world in many places. So if you look at the macro cycle of this nature, you can see very large cycles of 250 years each. We can, from historical point of view, the Dutch ruled for 250, and then the next cycle was British Empire, and the current cycle which is going on is the United States, the Empire of United States, and there is always a cusp, and there is always about 50 years of overlap between these these macro cycles. And now there is, and US is declining now. This cycle will be ending sometime soon. And then we will see the rise of new powers. So I'm not sure whether it will be China or India or a combination of nations, but definitely the days of domination of United States is coming down. We will see quite a few facts regarding this. So to give you an understanding of currencies, unlike what you may have thought, the stability of currency is very weak. Okay, so typically the lifetime of a currency is typically 5 to 80 or 100 years. That's it. So beyond that, there is no currency which has survived. So if you look at even the Britain, which is 129 years, it has lost more than 98% of its purchasing power. And same with Spanish currencies and everything else. And it always ends in revolution, and the currency gets destroyed, and a complete reset happens. And then the next world order starts. And in this cycle, the United States dollar domination is happening since World War II. And after defeating the European forces, United States came to dominance, and ever since it has been ruling. But its time is coming to an end. We are at the cusp of that ending period. So one of the great mark of the ending of any domination is through sanctions, right? The stronger somebody gets, the more dominating that country becomes, and they start bullying everybody else. So you can see this graph where the number of sanctions against all other countries in the world by the United States has been growing and growing and growing. So you can see many sovereign nations being completely destroyed by these US sanctions. Chile, Myanmar, North Korea, recently Syria and Russia. So all these sanctions has been going on. So this is a clear mark of the peaking of United States. And because of this, um, people are starting to move away from the dollar as a reserve currency. So if you look at these two colors, this pink color is the people have been moving over their trades from United States dollar to other uh, currencies. And these green ones are planning to move away from the dollar domination. right? So already almost all of Asia and a whole lot of parts in Europe, they are planning to move away from the dollar as their reserve currencies. But as of now, the dollar continues its domination. Okay, so I would like to show you a small clip here. But this dollar domination is ending.
But the system we have now has actually broken down, only we haven't quite recognized it. And so you need to create a new one. And this is the time to do it.
In the United States, how worried are you about the budget deficit and maybe about the possibility of inflation?
Well, certainly a decline in the value of the dollar is necessary in order to compensate for the fact that the U.S. economy will remain rather weak, will be a drag on the global economy. China will emerge as the motor replacing the U.S. consumer. And of course, it's a smaller motor because the Chinese economy is much smaller. So